Hey guys, Shakiel Mahjouri. You can call me Shaq here for MMA Mania with a married man, Beneil Dariush. Congratulations on tying the knot.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
That may have been the hardest thing I've ever had to do.
Yes. How is the upcoming fight at UFC 248 with Drakkar Klose a piece of cake compared to all the craziness of getting a wedding together?
You know, it's different for sure. The stress is different. I definitely think the wedding is more stressful. I'm Middle Eastern family on my side, and then my wife's Asian, so the whole traditions, the process,
Mm.
the making sure everybody's comfortable. Wow, what a trip that was.
Yeah, I only went to my first wedding like a couple years ago, and I haven't been to one since. And so I just did not realize what, like, not just a logistic nightmare, but like a social nightmare it is. You know, you've only got so much room. People need plus ones. You got family, you got friends. It really seems like a big deal.
So I'm gonna put it this way, man. The weddings, it's a non-propositional information. You
Hmm.
can't learn it from other people. You have to experience
Yeah.
it. So, are you married yet?
No, not yet.
So once you get married, then you'll really know.
All right,
It's one of those
I will
things.
shoot you a text when I'm at the height of my panic.
All right, let me know. I appreciate it.
All right, and before we get to the fight, I want you to know that the puppy is much better behaved. It's coming along quite nicely.
Good for you. Good for you.
Yeah, slept until 10:30 today. All right, let's talk a little bit of MMA here. I actually just got off of an interview with Drakkar Klose. You know, you guys were originally scheduled for 241. You had to pull out with an injury. He was not too happy about it, but he actually told me that, he was just really frustrated at the time, and from everything he's heard, you seem to be a stand-up guy. So he says not to expect too much trash talk coming from him. Is that a relief for you?
Um, I mean, yeah, that's actually awesome. I'm glad he understands because obviously it's not like I got injured because I lose money and I know he loses money. It
Hmm.
sucks. I even apologize because it is my responsibility to show up to the fight and be healthy. So uh, I, I actually do appreciate that. Yeah.
It's good to know. And you've kind of spoken out before about not really wanting to engage in this sort of stuff. Is there ever a situation? Actually, I'd like to know what is the meanest thing you've ever said to anyone? Because anytime I've talked to you, you've been a complete gentleman.
Crap. Let me think. Anything I've said to people. I probably I'm meaner to my friends, so I've said some mean things to my friends. I've called some friends asshat before. Uh, Jerk, dum dum. Let me think. You know what?
If that's the worst you can come up with, Vinyl, man, you are a
Yeah, I'm
saint.
not doing well. No, I'm not doing well right now.
All right.
I told a lot
Well,
of
let's
people.
continue on with the MMA
Oh,
before someone bashes my head in. What do you think is, you and Drakkar are very different fighters. Especially until, Drakkar was saying up until now he's mostly been paired up with other strikers, and this is going to be a really important challenge for him taking on someone with the grappling credentials that you possess. When you sort of assess him and yourself, what are the biggest advantages you both possess, or you each
uh,
possess?
interesting. I think I look at him as a intelligent fighter. I don't. I think a lot of people look at him as a aggressive brawler.
Hmm.
But if you got to think about it, he's had I think all decision wins in the UFC. I haven't really seen his fights outside the UFC. But in order to win a decision in the UFC, 15 minutes of fighting, you've got to be intelligent. You have to be able to dictate the pace. You have to know where you're going to win the fight, where you're losing the fight, where you're strongest, and make sure you push the fight in that position. And I think that's one of his strengths, being able to dictate the the pace of the fight and where it's going to be. And my strength is it doesn't matter where the fight goes. I'm perfectly comfortable. I'm going to be able to fight you off of my back. I can fight you standing. I can fight you, on against the cage and a tight clinch and a takedown, whatever it may be. I'm comfortable, and I think that's where our strengths lie, from what I've seen.
Now, this is your best winning streak since 5 years ago when you're on that 5-fight run. What is the biggest, let's just put aside the obvious stuff, the experience, maturity. What's the biggest difference from the Beneil that's on this run compared to the Beneil of 5 years ago?
I just being healthy. I think one of the things was, I was having a lot of problems with my neck, and it was making training really difficult. Being able to get into the gym and train 2 days and be able to perform when the fight came. I was always in shape when the fight came, but you don't get to train the same way, and timing is being in shape and your timing is not the same thing. Having good timing and having good cardiovascular shape is not the same thing.
Drakkar says that he's heard rumors that your career is winding down, that this is kind of one of your last big runs, and that he actually expects you to be far more dangerous because of it, because you're fully committed to putting in a really strong stretch of performances. If you were to lose this fight, is retirement even in your brain at all?
No, I mean, when my neck was messed up, it was. Yeah. When I couldn't train and things. So yeah, back then it was. But now I feel like I'm 18 again. I'm doing 2 practices a day without an issue. And if the only thing that I hate is cutting weight. I mean, if I didn't have to cut weight, I'd.
Uh-oh. We've lost Beneil.
Drakkar, I think he just needs to call me. If he's got questions, if he's got things he's worried about, he should just ask me directly. I'd give him a much better answer. He's getting what is that game called? Telephone?
Yeah.
I think he's getting the telephone game.
What was the big, you keep talking about how healthy you are now. What was it surgery? Was it physio? Because as someone who feels like an 80-year-old man at age 24, I'd really like to nip this in the butt.
Well, it was physio. For me, I did a lot of physical therapy. I mean, a lot. It's crazy how much physical therapy I had to do for it in terms of, I just thought it was going to be, at first they told me, hey, like, you need to have surgery. If you don't have surgery, you're never going to be the same again. You're basically done without a surgery. But I'm like, if I have the surgery, I might not be the same and not be able to fight. Mm-hmm. It might mess me up. Because one of my wrestling coaches, he got the surgery, and he can pretty much do everything except he can't lift his arm up horizontally, like straight horizontally.
Oh, wow.
Which is kind of nuts, And if I had that problem, I wouldn't be able to hold up my guard. As therapy, we held mitts for him for a while, and he got better, but he never really got his strength back. So that was always in the back of my head. I'm like, I'm not doing surgery. If I do surgery, I'm pretty much retired.
As we wrap up here, one thing I always find, the UFC does like to sort of group fighters and have them kind of fight amongst themselves and make their way up, and they kind of pay attention to who's beaten who. And I was wondering, what does it mean, what does it mean for you that Drew Dober, someone you beat, just put in an incredible performance against Nasrat Haqparast, someone who the UFC was looking to as a future, title challenger at that fight with Josh Emmett. So knowing in your mind that you've beaten Drew Dober just beat Nasrat, do you think it sort of elevates your status in the UFC's eyes?
It could be. The thing is, Nasrat's my boy. We trained together. Yeah. I love the kid, and seeing him lose really sucked. So, I if it does raise up my name, I didn't want my name to be raised up like that. So sure. that was not. I didn't think of it like that. I didn't think of it. I didn't think of Drew Dober like that. I thought Drew was good from the beginning, anyways. The guy is a stud. I knew how good he was. I try not to think what the UFC thinks. I try to focus on my competitors, just like Drakkar. The guy's a beast.
Agreed. I want to touch on something really quickly outside of MMA. And we've talked about Iran in the past and the culture of wrestling there. I'm in Canada here. We had a really tragic incident where a Canadian plane crashed in Iran. A lot of people that I had mutual acquaintances with unfortunately passed away in that. There were a lot of candlelight vigils. Obviously, U.S.-Iran tensions are kind of rough. As someone who is in the States, what from the Iranian community and yourself personally, just what has the atmosphere been like? How have you been feeling?
It's strange. It's really split in half. You would think it would be like one or the other, but like there's a lot of people who don't like the current regime, so they're okay with all the sanctions. They're okay with all the pressure on Iran right now. And then there's people who are like, well, yeah, we don't like the regime either, but like our people are suffering there. So it's hard, man. It's one of those things. Like I don't know what the right answer here is. I just know if there's people I can support, I want to support the people. I don't want to get too much into the politics of it, but I know there's people hurting. So if there's a way we can help, I hope we can figure it out and help them out, because it's ridiculous, man. The whole thing is ridiculous, and now the coronavirus is there. I don't know if you know right now, but they're having some big weather problems as well. Iran is not in a great place right now.
Well, and of course, fingers crossed for all those affected inside and outside of Iran. This is a huge 180, so I should have had some sort of transitional question. But this fight kind of got...
It's all good. It's important to talk about.
Agreed. But what I wanted to end on a happy note is this fight unfortunately got in the way of your honeymoon. So I want to know, what do you have planned after the fight?
Man, I'm going to go corner Marvin after the fight. But I'm taking Victoria with me, so we'll go to London for a little bit. We'll probably after that maybe go to Denmark, possibly Georgia. We're not calling it a honeymoon because I got family in Denmark and I got friends in Georgia, so we won't call it a honeymoon this time. But I think we'll probably go to Asia for our honeymoon, because we like Singapore. We like. Well, actually, I don't know if she's been to Thailand, but I like Thailand, so maybe we'll do something like that.
Good. Yes, I'm planning on a Thailand trip in November, so maybe we'll cross paths.
Yeah. Have you been there?
No, never been.
Oh, dude, you'll love it. It's really cool. Bangkok is actually pretty expensive. Bangkok is, I feel like when I'm in Bangkok, I'm just in California. It feels pretty much the same as here as far as prices go. But I know if you go outside of Bangkok, it's super cheap. Everybody's really friendly, and the quality of everything is great.
Beneil, I want to thank you so much for the time. A gentleman as always, super candid, so I appreciate that. You fight Drakkar Klose at UFC 248 on March 7th. Best of luck, and I'll catch you next time.
Appreciate it, bro. Take care.